So are we actually going to do this? Yeah, we are. Let's go.
I don't know if you realize this, but there are a lot of people out there doing business, especially now that we have access to people across the world, across the country, across the world, across the street, and everybody can be connected so quickly. We have shipping opportunities, we have Zoom for support, we can do things virtually, in person. There's so many options out there. It has expanded the opportunity for us to build all kinds of interesting businesses. And then, of course, competition comes in because they're like, oh, look what she's doing. I could do that too. And suddenly there's a bajillion people who are doing the same thing you're doing. Or maybe you copied somebody else and you saw someone who was doing something and you're like, I could do that. And so you started your business. And now we are all doing the same thing. And, just for myself, there's a bunch of business coaches out there. There's a lot. So does that mean I should not be a business coach? Like that's a waste of my time. I'm never going to make sales. I'm not going to get business because there's already plenty of business coaches out there that can help support business growth and show you all the things. So why bother? I get that. I felt that. And this is the irony is that we have everyone out there who's trying to be an expert and trying to sound like an expert because they want to be better than the competition, but the experts are starting to all sound the same. And when somebody goes into an industry, whether you are brand new to it, maybe you've been doing it for years, maybe you did it in your corporate job and now you're leveraging it on your own, maybe you shifted from doer to teacher, whatever it might be, there is a secret ingredient that really needs to be leveraged. And your secret ingredient is your experience. And you, as a person, you are the secret ingredient. This is how you're going to stand out with the competition of all the other people who are in your industry and your niche. Your messy, imperfect journey is more valuable than your perfect credentials. Ooh, let me say that again. Your messy, imperfect journey is more valuable than your perfect credentials. This is what I want you to think about. This whole conversation we're about to have is you, who you are, the way you think, the way you process things, the way you show up for people, the way you respond, the way you coach. All of that is so valuable and such a secret ingredient that can be leveraged for so much value over the person next to you who is just talking about all of their education and certifications and all of those. And don't get me wrong, I'm all about certifications, I'm all about education. I think that's really important, but it is not everything. And it is not going to make you stand out because obviously if you're going to school for it, other people are going to school for it. Hundreds of other people are going to school for that same thing. So how do you leverage something to make you stand out? And that is you and your journey. You're hiding your secret weapon, your experience, when you try to fit in with everyone else and instead, meet the standards, quote unquote standards of whatever industry you are in. I want you to look at this conversation that we're going to have in this episode as an opportunity to see that your story isn't just your background, it is your competitive advantage. It is your advantage. So let's talk about the experience advantage. Your journey matters more than your diploma, my friend. Credentials can be commodities. A lot of people can get certified in things, people can go to school, but not everyone has the experience and real life impact that you have had. I'll just give it a quick example. Someone reached out to me a few years ago, this really beautiful girl. She's very, very kind, not like nothing against her. But she was so excited and we got in a conversation. She says, I'm so excited. I'm ready to coach women like you and be able to support you with growing your business. And she just was telling me all the things that she was doing and how she wanted to support me. And super sweet, very nice girl. But when it came down to it, she started talking about how she just got out of school. She went to college. She's 26 years old. She went to business school and now she's ready to coach women on how to build multi six figure and seven figure businesses. And I was like, okay, so you have a degree, you have a business degree. Tell me about the businesses you've worked in and what you've done to help generate multi six and seven figures. Well, I just got out of school, so I'm ready to put into action all the things I've learned. And she just went back to school. And I love that. She was so excited. But honestly, I just looked at her and was like, I don't know if you're ready yet to work with me because I have six kids. And I am in a different place than you are as a young 26-year-old who has book strategies and certifications in these different things. But what I really needed was somebody who is like could understand where I'm at with like juggling business, juggling my babies, trying to figure out all the things, the solutions. I needed someone with experience, somebody who's lived with what I'm going through right now, somebody who understands what it's like to have to make that choice in the morning of like, okay, this has got to shift. This girl needs, like, this child needs this support. This client needs this support. How do I juggle this all? How do I make these decisions? This girl who's fresh out of school would not have been able to relate. And it's not saying that she couldn't have supported me in an impactful way, but not enough for me to believe she could get me to where I wanted to go. And so your experience can create so much empathy and understanding. What you know what it feels like to actually struggle with the problems that I'm struggling with or that your client is struggling with. And when you understand that, the empathy that they feel is like, I've been there, I've gone through this, I've overcome. Whew, it makes an impact. Real stories beat case studies every time, my friend. People connect with humans, not success statistics. So when you want to share your real story, that is going to be a game changer. And most of us hide our stories because we don't want to look vulnerable. We don't want to be seen as somebody who had any struggles. We want to be the one who knows it all, who is very successful and doesn't have any issues. But man, when we are get vulnerable and we talk about what we've been through and what we did to overcome it, or maybe you're still struggling and you know the way to get out of the struggle faster, that's such a more powerful thing than a case study and statistics that are very cold and people are like, who even did this statistic? Sometimes I look at polls, I'm like, who's answering this poll? Because I've never answered any one of those polls that are saying it's like across the country, this is what we all feel. And I'm like, who's answering? And so I'm not relating to those statistics very well because I don't understand how they're real stories. It looks like case studies. And I will tell you something magical. And if you can make this shift in your mindset, it's going to be game changer. Your failures are your features. What didn't work for you helps others avoid the same mistakes. What you made a mistake on helps you understand your people at a level that no, the person next to you who has not experienced that mistake won't understand. My failed businesses, which I have in the past, my businesses that did not succeed the way I thought they would, or create the impact or the momentum the way I thought it would, are my best things, my best features, my most amazing opportunities to leverage because I understand what didn't work, what caused me to trip up, what made me lose momentum, what got me frustrated. And that will help me to let you know and understand as my client how to avoid the same mistake or how to get out of that because I've been there. Your experience is so powerful. So, what makes your experience unique? Okay, let's talk about like how do I find out what is my unique experience? So, your specific combination. All right, so let's go with your specific combination. No one has your exact mix of backgrounds, struggles, victories. You have a unique combination. I have not yet met somebody who has my background in my story. I meet other moms who have six kids, but I've never met another mom who has three biological boys, an adopted twin girls and a boy. Never met that exact scenario. Never met somebody who has been through our background where we grew up in, I grew up in Hawaii and then I moved to Michigan and then this, and like my journey is so different than everyone else. Nobody has that exact mix. So, what is your specific combination of your background, your struggles, your victories, the things you've went through, all of that. And then the next one is your perspective. So you have your combination of your background struggles and victories, your perspective, how you see the problem differently because of what you've been through. Because of what I've been through in my own personal journey, I have a different perspective on business than a lot of other coaches. And I have seen traps and pitfalls and experiences and struggles that I myself have been through. And now I can see them differently when the women I work with is like, oh, I see you. You're not showing up for yourself right now in your business because you are exhausted and you're burnt out and you are feeling like a failure in this other side of the coin with your mom life. And if that is a struggle right now, you're not going to have success in your business the way you want to. So now I can see this problem differently of you saying, I just need to do this. I need to get my act together. I just need to do all these things. And we can unpack what it really means when you say that because I understand and I've been there. When hear that problem, I can see it differently because of what I've been through. The next part is your language, how you naturally talk about issues before you learn the quote unquote business speak is something I want you to go back to. I want you to go back to just that vulnerable, unique way of talking about business and lean harder into it than ever before. I could tell you for sure looking back on my journey and how I've leaned into the words that I've used over and over again is expansion and contraction are two words that I used to talk about all the time that I heard. I don't even remember where I heard it, but it resonated with me and I've captured it and it became a part of my journey so powerfully that I can talk about. Like sometimes we are in our business and we feel so contracted. Like I am closed off, my shoulders are slumped, my I feel like I'm closing in on myself. I feel so heavy. I feel so weighted. I feel like I'm swimming through thick, angry, violent mud. And I feel contracted and I don't want to do it. And I feel like I have to, and I'm trying and I'm pushing so hard. And then there's the flip side, which is expansive, where I'm like, oh, I'm lit up. I'm ready to go. I feel like my shoulders are open, my arms are open. I feel like I'm moving towards this problem or the solution or the action without even thinking about it because it's just like, yes, let's go. Yes, it's a full body movement. And so when I start talking in using the language of that and how I naturally talk about issues myself, and not just use the business speak of like, you just have to have an aligned business strategy, which I say as well, but I have to go deeper in the way I talk about that and how. So, what are the languages that you use, your uniqueness, and naturally work for you? And then your solutions. This is the workarounds you created that experts have never figured out. This is the things that you have a uniqueness of your way of doing it. It's like everybody has chocolate chip cookies, but you are unique. Your solution, your workaround is that you can do it in a different way that no one has ever thought about before, or you speed up the process, or you triple the impact. You have an ingredient that no one has ever done before, and it makes it the world's best chocolate chip cookie. So, your solution, those frameworks, it's like you invented it. It's like you came up with the thing and people get blown away by they're like, oh my gosh, So if you've ever looked at a coach and you're like, she just blew my mind with her solutions, it's because she was showing her unique workarounds or frameworks that she personally created or leverages so that the experts look like they don't really know what they're doing or they don't have the true solution because she has something unique. When you show up with your unique experience, you authentically magnetize your people to you. Because the truth is, people buy from people. They want to work with people who get it on a personal level. They like working with people who deliver and are relatable and are trustworthy and all of that. Because when we are vulnerable, going back to, showing our uniqueness, it's sharing the real struggles that make you more credible, not less. It's saying, like, hey, here's where I'm at, and this is not what I'm like. I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I'm saying I'm imperfect and I'm still showing up, and I want to help you as an imperfect person do the same. Your story is also your niche. This was something really powerful for me when I've leveraged it, is to say, when I talk about my background, my experiences, my struggles, my people, my stories, it attracts people with similar experiences. I get asked all the time, it's like, do I just work with women? No, I work with men and women in businesses, but I definitely attract women, and I attract women who have children. I attract women who have autoimmune diseases. I attract women who are juggling a lot. And why? Because I understand it. And so I'm attracting people with similar experiences or backgrounds or stories. And that is what gets their attention, because they're like, oh, she's going to understand me because she's been through this. And her vulnerability is creating trust and making it so that people feel like, okay, I can relate to you and I want you to support me because I feel like you're going to understand me like no one else did. Because experience trumps education, and they'd rather hire somebody who's been there than someone who studied it. And that's the truth. It's just really hard to say. Sometimes is I do trust people who have hired someone than just somebody who has studied it. It's disappointing sometimes because I'm like, oh, I went to school for that. Why is somebody buying from you? This part I'm going to redo real quick. So your experience is going to trump your education. Your experience in what you do, the stories you've been through, every time is going to get more attention than education. Not, I will caveat this, this is not for every niche across the board. Although there's impact in every niche. So, like, for instance, if a doctor, I don't want just somebody who has a certificate from graduation. I want somebody who's been in residency and experienced things before they operate on me. Okay. So, it still does apply there, but I would like them to have both. But not every business has to have a full education. There's things like, I was just talking to somebody who does sourdough, and she's like, I'm not a chef. I've never been to cooking school. I have just made probably 10,000 loaves of sourdough in the last 10 years. And it is my passion. And I feel very confident that I have the experience. I can show you how to make your own sourdough and make amazing, delicious sourdough loaves at home. And so she doesn't have a formal education. What she has is experience. Same thing for you. You'd rather hire someone who's been there and who has done it and who has done it in a way that is very practical than just somebody who studied it. I want you to make sure you are not hiding the problem. I want you to look at and say, okay, please delete this last thing. The problem is we are hiding. Oftentimes we hide, and you're burying your best asset when you do. When you hide yourself, when you hide your uniqueness, when you hide your story, when you hide your viewpoint in all of the things that you have been through, you are burying your best asset. So I want you to really look at it and say, hey, I don't need more credentials to be legitimate, which is the imposter system syndrome. Imposter syndrome says, well, I have to have more credentials. I have to go to more school. I have to do this. I have to have this perfection in order to be legit or to be able to make sales. Oh, that can stop you in your tracks so fast. You also can have comparison traps, seeing others with fancy backgrounds and start to dim your own light because you're like, well, I'm not here yet. I'm not doing this. I don't have this. And you're comparing it to somebody else. Professional pressure. There's some thinking out there that you have to sound business-like or instead of human. I have to sound professional when professional is good, but also it doesn't always sell and it's not always relatable. And I don't need to be professional to the point of not allowing people to understand who I am. And there's also underlying there when we're bearing it is that we are scared of judgment. We're worried that unconventional path makes me less qualified. I'm worried that somebody's going to judge me because I don't have all of these things, or I don't have this accolade, or I haven't done this yet. It's going to give me, like, somebody's going to judge me. Really? They're going to say no. So when you hide your experience because of these things, which are pretty common amongst all of us as entrepreneurs and business owners, at least one, we've all felt at least one, the imposter syndrome, the comparison trap, the professional pressure, the fear of judgment, all of that. When we hide our experience because of those feelings, we are end up creating generic positioning, which we talked about last week, which is when we end up sounding like everyone else in our space because we're so like it just we're going generic, we're talking like everybody else. We also create weak connections. People can't relate to your sanitized success story. Man, this cracked me up when we wrote it down. Is like, I have a sanitized success story, meaning I'm like blocking out and cleaning up all the parts that are messy and dirty and skimming over all those things. And we create weak connections because we're not telling them all the things and not showing up and saying, this is the whole picture. This is all of me. And because of that, we miss opportunities. Our ideal clients can't find us because we're not speaking their language. And truthfully, I would love to share this with you. This story, I was at a retreat a few years ago with some really amazing women business owners who were all definitely more successful than me in when it comes to like cash flow. They were all at a much higher level than I was in business and how they were generating income. And I very much admired these women in the room. And we were all talking and having a conversation around a fireplace. And when I tell you they called me out, it was uncomfortable because what happened was they lovingly said this. They're like, Lonnie, so we've known you for a year now. And when we're in the room at this retreat, you are a powerhouse. You are just a maven. You show up. You have so much authority. You are a genius and you help us do this and this and you call us out. You see things that people don't even like. They were very complimentary, which I'm so thankful for. But then they flipped the script. And it was painful to hear. But they said, honestly, when the moment we leave this room and we're seeing you on social media, we don't recognize you because you're hiding and you're playing small and you're downplaying what you do and your thoughts and how much impact you have made and what you're capable of, and you're fading into the background of something you are not, and no one knows that you're capable of being X, Y, and Z. And it was exactly what I needed to hear because when you hide your experience, when you do weak connection, when you generic position yourself, you miss opportunities and you're hiding. And the truth is, like, without your unique story, you're competing now on features and pricing, and you end up having to lower your prices. So getting called out in the room, and this is another reason why I'm a super fan of retreats, because it's an opportunity for us to get to know other women in business and who can hear us, see us, and support us and say, hey, I see you and I see where you're hiding. Or I see where you could be more brave and more bold. And that's what these ladies did for me. And it changed a lot of things in my business. That conversation, whew, it was so impactful for me. So what I want you to think about is don't be a cookie cutter. Don't sound like everyone else, the same frameworks, the same language, the same approach. Use your experience as the differentiator. It's the one thing nobody else can copy. No one else can copy my story. They can copy some of my thoughts and obviously business is business. It's not like I'm inventing something new. If you're in an industry where you really can't create something brand new from scratch because it is what it is. I'm not inventing a new social media platform. I'm not creating a brand new thing called email or whatever. I'm using the foundation so everybody else is doing the same thing. How do I leverage it? My experience is the differentiator that no one else can copy. And you might be hiding in plain sight. You're making yourself invisible when you try to fit in and be a cookie cutter. So I want you to ask yourself, are you hiding in plain sight? And are your flaws actually your competitive advantages? And how do you start using it? This is a part of the messaging in 3D workshop that we're going to be doing in the month of July. And I want you to get on the RSVP list so that we can show you how your unique experience is the final piece in turning your messaging from falling flat into standing out in full Technicolor 3D imaging, where you can get your clients to stop the scroll, interact with you, and start buying. Because when you are able to do that, you're going to start to get the transformations and the opportunities that you've been wanting this whole time. So make sure you sign up for that workshop so you can stand out, learn more about your uniqueness. It is something that we're going to work on, because when you start to think about your experience, we get vulnerable. We can sometimes need some help with shifting into confidence, from hiding to highlighting, from generic to magnetic, and from imposter to an expert. We can do that. And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit more. So if you haven't signed up yet, go sign up for the workshop and join us while we talk about how to make you and who you are as a human, and what you do, your experience, your background, your frameworks, your uniqueness, all of it can be the final piece to creating messaging that stands out the way that you've been wanting this whole time. Come join us for the workshop. Listen to next week's episode. Tell me if you had some ahas here. And did you feel like I called you out on anything? Because I felt called out even when I was talking. I'm just being vulnerable here. I was like, I even want to do this even more. I want to tell more stories. I want to get more deeper, because it's powerful and it's impactful, and it is the thing that changes everything, my friend. Thank you for listening today. Remember, your experience is actually the secret ingredient. It's time to let it out. I'll see you next week on another episode.
Thanks for actually joining us today. I hope it inspired you to actually take the action to step into the empowered CEO that you are and getting more of the results that you want. Before you go, I have a quick favor. Leave us a review and take a screenshot of this episode and share it with your friends and on your favorite social media channels. Don't forget to tag us, actually.thepodcast and Lani J. Jackson. And we'll see you next week on another episode.